Hello everybody, my name's King Newsme. I asked you guys what episode of The Haunting Hour you guys would like to see next, and you guys voted for Creature Feature. Oh, it's nice to be back with The Haunting Hour. Sometimes I miss just talking about it, you know? For those of you guys that don't know, The Haunting Hour is a children's anthology horror series created by R.L. Stine, who's well known for his ultra-popular series Goosebumps. The show aired on a now defunct channel called The Hub from 2010 to 2014. It lasted for 4 seasons and has 76 episodes and was only canceled when the channel The Hub was canceled. Today we're going to be taking a look at the season 2 premiere episode's Creature Feature. It's a fan favorite episode and for good reason too. Surprisingly, this episode's based off of a book that Stine didn't write. It's called Strange Matter, Creature Feature, and it's written by Ingle and Barnes. And I have read the book to talk and compare it to the episode, and spoiler alert, they're nothing alike. Their main character's name is John, and they go to movies. That's pretty much where it ends. Of course, give it a read if you're interested. It's still a pretty fun book to read. I had a good time reading it. Now that all that's out of the way, let's quit yapping and get into the episode. We start the episode by meeting our main character, John, and we can see that he's quite obsessed with the old horror movies. In fact, he's setting up to have a horror movie night with his friend Nathan, who's already here. Nathan is played by Brendan Meyer, who's also in the Dead Body episode, so go check that out if you haven't seen that yet. But sadly, Nathan's not alone. He brought a girl. Ew, gross! Her name is Lisa, and she's played by Sarah Dugdale. And she was in an episode called Wrong Number with Debbie Ryan. John doesn't mind that Nathan brought a friend along as long as he gets to watch his movie.
I was a teenage chick.
Really? You picked that one? He admits that the movie isn't very good. He only watches it for the damsel in distress who he has a crush on.
I kind of have this thing for her. I don't really know why.
But he says the tick monster in the movie is really cool. We learn that Lisa, unsurprisingly, hasn't seen this movie and kind of doesn't want to. Her and Nathan just came to pick up John so that they can all go to a beach party together. But John doesn't want to go.
No, the plan was to stay up all night watching movies.
Lisa excuses herself to go to the bathroom, and Nathan and John start arguing a little bit. Turns out Lisa is a popular girl, and can you believe it? These two are geeks. So it's a little weird that Lisa's hanging out with Nathan. Well, you see, Lisa just broke up with her boyfriend, and the only reason she's being nice to Nathan is because he listens to her problems. And Nathan told her that the only way he could come to this beach party is if he brought John along. Of course, John still doesn't want to go. He doesn't like any of the people that are going to be there, and he doesn't like sand.
Sand and Sean Mosley, not a good combination.
But Nathan tells him that you can't just stay in your basement forever and wish you were in these old movies. But of course, John would rather live in the movies. Finally, Lisa comes out of the bathroom and John reluctantly agrees to join them. And immediately we see how different all of them are and how Nathan is trying so hard to not make Lisa upset.
Don't you love this song?
He hates this song. It kind of grows on you.
And as they're driving, a strange fog comes out of nowhere. Makes it very hard for Lisa to see, and as they're driving through it, John just keeps talking about how it's similar to a horror movie he's watched. And he tries to scare the two by telling them that in the movie, the teens were riding in the car as somebody was stalking them through the fog, and
Who cares? I hate those kind of movies.
okay, damn. They get stuck at a red light, but this is when John notices that there's a drive-in movie theater that wasn't there before. So obviously he hops out of the car and starts running towards it, because that's a normal thing to do. Lisa confesses to Nathan that she's tired of hearing John go on and on and on about these old horror movies that she doesn't care about. So she's just gonna leave him there. Luckily, Nathan is a good friend and doesn't let that happen. So they pull up to the entrance and coincidentally, they're showing the exact movie that Nathan was going to watch. That's just weird. They enter the theater and John's a little stun-locked and in awe of how a drive-in movie theater just appeared out of nowhere.
Did you even know this place was here? Me neither.
It's strange to him because out of everybody, he should know that his town has a drive-in movie theater, especially when it has a cool-ass snack bar like this one does. The whole time, Nathan and Lisa try to get John back into the car so they can leave and go to the beach party. But of course, John wants to stay just a little bit longer. He thinks that all the retro posters and all the vintage stuff is just so cool. He also mentions that all the posters that are on the walls are the same posters he has in his room. Almost like whoever modeled this drive-in modeled it after his room. Lisa's getting pretty upset about the whole situation, and John's not making it any better by just disappearing every 5 seconds. They find John in the projector room. He finds that this theater uses old film projectors, ones that take actual film, not like the digital ones we have today. And this seals the deal for John. He's not leaving. I'm not fucking leaving! Because it's like he has his own personal theater there tonight. Nathan tries one last time to get John to leave with them, and he takes a somewhat unusual approach.
John! Hey, you're shaking me.
Nathan finally confesses that he really doesn't want to watch the movie tonight. He just wants to go to this beach party, which breaks John's heart, but he doesn't care if they go without him. So he turns the projector on and...
Dang it, John!
disappears. Nathan looks around for him but can't seem to find him. That is until
John, where are you? I can barely hear you.
John starts calling out to them, but he's not inside the projector room or outside of it. He's in the movie. I think this is the happiest he's ever been. Next, we meet Dr. Wright, who's played by Cameron Bancroft. And you might recognize him from the Walls episode of The Haunting Hour. He is the dad in that episode. Confused, Dr. Wright asks John why he's there.
That is a really good question.
But luckily for John, he knows exactly what to say. He tells the doctor that he's a college student and he comes to help be a lab assistant. Nathan tries to help John escape the movie by turning off the projector, but...
Yow!
He said yow. Every time I hear somebody say yow, I just think of that Schoolhouse Rock song. Interjections. Yow! Ouch, that hurt! I fucking love that song. Lisa thinks maybe pulling the plug out will help, but...
Never mind.
So the two run out to the car to watch and maybe help John find a way to escape. But I really don't think he wants to be pulled out, honestly. It looks like he's having the time of his life in there. And it's even better for him now that his celebrity crush Marjorie is there. Marjorie is played by Emma Grabinski, and she's actually in 2 other Haunting Hour episodes. She played Lauren in Ghostly Stare and Maggie in Terrible Love. Quite the star-studded cast. They introduce themselves, and surprisingly, Marjorie likes the name John.
John? She loves the name John?
Girl, don't say that out loud because you're gonna piss off millions of Johns and then I'm gonna get all the comments about it. We're learning that Dr. Wright is studying the saliva of the Rocky Mountain tick and how it reacts to the human body. Or rather, how the human body reacts to it. John tries to warn Dr. Wright about the antagonist of the film, Dr. Mangle. Everywhere I go, FNAF follows me. Mangle is Dr. Wright's partner and most trusted colleague. So he doesn't believe John when John tells him that he's trying to make a serum that turns humans into large ticks. That is until John reveals...
And he's gonna inject it into your daughter.
Oh. Never mind, he still didn't believe him. Suddenly, John gets a call from Nathan. Somehow phones still work in this dark magic. Obviously, John is loving being in this movie and is already seeing himself as the hero of the story. So he doesn't talk for long. Also, the villain arrived and he, definitely looks like a villain, all right. I know he has a masterful disguise, but Dr. Mangle is actually played by Matt Angel, who was also in the Dead Body episodes. It's like a reunion for these two. Aww. Dr. Wright introduces Mangle to John, and Mangle has an interesting reaction.
Ah! We can always use new blood around here.
What do you mean by that? Mangle wants to take Marjorie away for a little while so she can help him with recording data. Okay, pal. Is that what kids are calling it these days? John tries to warn Marjorie that Mangle is literally trying to turn her into a tick, but Marjorie kind of has a crush on Dr. Mangle and will do anything he needs. So they get ready to head to his private laboratory.
You mean that isolated cabin where no one can hear the screams of your victims?
Oh, John, don't be silly now.
God, this episode's so good. It also turns out that Lisa's kind of enjoying the movie.
Listen to him, you airhead!
And while John tries to figure out a way to save Marjorie, Nathan and Lisa get caught by the police.
You want to tell me what's going on here?
They're watching a movie. Duh. They try to explain to the cop what happened, but of course he doesn't believe them. And he tries to turn off the projector, but of course, it shocks him. So he's just gonna try and take the reel out, but gets sucked into the movie as well. And as the cop tries to gain his bearings and figure out what happened to him, he gets a visit from the teenage tick, who eats him alive. Kind of. Dr. Mangle comes out in his cliche evil scientist attire, takes the cop's gun, and uses the cattle prod to make the tick go back inside. John finds the evil lab and, even worse, finds Marjorie strapped to a table.
I'm so glad you're here. Dr. Mangle is evil.
Duh.
Yeah, John tried to warn you. And as John cuts Marjorie free, Lisa thinks that maybe if they cut the film, it'll set John free. Honestly, guys, I would just leave him in there. He looks like he's having fun. And as they look for something to cut the film, John and Marjorie have a sweet moment that kind of distracts Lisa again.
Aww.
What are you doing?
Sadly, their moment gets interrupted by...
Hurry up!
Wow, that's a long scream. And she's still going. Finally, Lisa just dumps her bag, but they don't find the scissors that she thought she had. But they need to hurry and find something quick because now Dr. Mangle has both of them strapped to a table. And the tick is getting hungry. We learn that the tick's name is Barry, and he was Dr. Mangle's previous lab assistant.
He'll still get class credit.
Oh, well, that's kind of nice of him. For some reason, Mangle wants there to be a whole tick race of people, and he's going to turn Marjorie into a tick so that she can reproduce? Why he wants to do this? Don't ask me, I'm just watching it. Luckily, Nathan finds a box cutter that's left in the car by Lisa's dad. So they quickly run to the projector booth and get ready to cut the film. But before they do, Lisa is starting to have second thoughts. What if they cut it and then John's just trapped in the reel forever? What if it kills him? But I think he'd rather be dead than turned into a tick, which is going to happen if you don't make a decision. So Lisa cuts it and we get... Yep, a cliffhanger. So come back next week and we can talk about the next... I'm just kidding. We don't do that here. Let's hop back into it. We start the next episode exactly where the last one left off. And it looks like the plan worked. John is okay. But the cop... maybe not so much. The kids call an anonymous tip to the police so they can come and find their partner, and they head to that beach party. John is unsurprisingly upset at them that they pulled him out of the movie. He claims that he had the whole situation under control. Yeah, okay, buddy. And he would much rather be with Marjorie because she actually likes him. Nathan tries to ask Lisa if maybe she has a friend that they could introduce to John, but I think she's a bit embarrassed that he's coming anyways, so they just take John home.
I'll call you tomorrow. Really hit you.
Yeah, my arm is sore.
But that's when they both notice that John's acting a little weird, and his arm's in a lot of pain. That night, John is sitting in his room staring at the picture of Marjorie on the wall. But when he looks down, he sees... Luckily, that was just a dream. He gets awakened by Nathan, who's calling him to tell him that they found the cop in an empty, vacant lot. And he doesn't remember a thing that happened. And as they talk, John gets some breakfast, which he just bites into an orange for some reason. Why? And that's not the only weird thing he does. He hears a lady walking her dog outside, so naturally he goes outside, walks over to the pup, picks it up, and starts sniffing the poor thing.
What are you doing?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Embarrassed, he goes back inside, but he notices something strange is growing out of his fingernail. He tries to pull on it, but it's not coming out. Then something pretty gross happens. Ew! I know it's not like the grossest thing you've probably ever seen, but just imagine your fingernail just sliding off. Ah, gross! Nathan starts to get a little worried and he brings Lisa along to come check on John. But it doesn't look like John is home. Or is he? John hangs from the ceiling and it almost looks like he's calling for help. Or he's trying to resist the urge to eat his friends. Or he doesn't want anybody to see him like this. That one's probably it. They somehow don't see him hanging from the ceiling and make plans to hang out later. Then they just leave. And after they leave, we get a nice close-up of John as he cries out in agony. Next, we cut to a little girl at a park. Oh god, not like this. She's swinging peacefully on the swing set as something watches her from the bushes nearby. All is good until... the monster attacks her. Luckily, he doesn't hurt the little girl and just runs away. But because he did that, now the cops are looking for him. Lisa picks up Nathan and confesses that she's a little worried about John and offers to help him look for John. So they go and check out a bunch of John's usual hangout spots, but they don't find him anywhere. And as they do this, some cops pull up and hand them a flyer with a familiar looking beast on it. The cops believe that it's just somebody in a mask going around and terrorizing little kids. But I think Nathan's reaction kinda scares the cop a little bit.
Make sure we got shells for the shotgun.
So you're gonna shoot him? And Nathan is just as panicked as I am, but he quickly comes up with a plan. In the movie, Dr. Mangle made an antidote that will turn him back human. So they head back to the mysterious drive-in. Side note, I just noticed this as I was writing the script. The drive-in is called the Twilight Drive-In. Almost like every time they enter it, they're entering the Twilight Zone. That's just fucking awesome, dude. I don't know if that's what they meant by doing that or if they were just trying to make a little Easter egg there, but that's cool either way. Also, the letters kind of match the letters of the Twilight Zone logo. They pull into the theater and immediately Lisa finds a dead squirrel.
Squirrel. Drain dry.
The two arm themselves and head into the projection booth in hopes to find John there. And when they get inside, he's nowhere to be seen. They start losing hope until... Sounds like John was watching them from the roof and he's now hopped down to have a little snack. He creeps into the booth while Nathan and Lisa hide. Luckily, he doesn't see them. Seriously, Lisa? Nathan holds him off with the lighter as Lisa attempts to tape the film back together. Luckily, Lisa fixes it just in time and they all get sucked into the movie. Oh yeah, I forgot she was here. They tell Marjorie not to worry that they're friends of John.
That's John?
God, that's so corny. They also ask if she knows where the cattle prods are so that they can keep John at bay. And while Lisa does that, Nathan searches around but can't seem to find the antidote. And Marjorie tells us,
When everything got all jumpy and John disappeared, Dr. Mangle hid it. Does John have a girlfriend?
sorry, what was that last part?
He'll have all kinds of friends.
I guess we don't have time to talk about that. Dr. Mangle is already here. And he still has the cop's gun. Is this guy okay? He straps everyone down and locks John in a cage. Mangle doesn't have enough serum to turn them all into ticks, so he's gonna let Barry decide which one he wants to eat. Then the other two will be turned into ticks. Barry shops around for a second, but it looks like he's gonna choose Marjorie, which John will not let happen. He breaks the lock to the cage, busts out of it, and pushes Mangle down, knocking him out. Then we get this awesome bug fighting karate scene that Marjorie calls
The Battle of the Teenage Tick Monsters!
Wow, I could have came up with that. They fight for a while, throwing punches, dodging punches, getting kicked in the balls.
Oh, right the...
In the what? Does he still have any?
Based on his reaction, I'm gonna say yeah. It looks like John is losing the fight, so Lisa decides to help out. She kicks herself off of a table and pushes Barry into the chemical cabinet, which pours corrosive acid all over him. So Barry literally melts away in front of them. But it's not over yet. Mangle wakes up and quickly tries to turn Marjorie into a tick. But just like before, John is not gonna let that happen. So he rushes Mangle and... He shot him? I didn't think he was gonna actually use the gun. This is a kid's show. Luckily, the tick armor saves him and he eats Mangle's face off. The next day, they turn John back into a real boy and the movie starts to wrap up a little bit. But first, Dr. Wright has to give a long speech that kinda doesn't really make much sense. It talks about how science can be our friend and our enemy, and then questions if science can capture the essence of the human heart, and says that they should turn to the youth to figure that out.
The question is, do we turn to them in hope? Or in fear?
And that's where the movie ends and the teens get flashed back to reality.
Yes!
Well, almost all of them. The projector turns back on to show a very cheesy and over-the-top trailer for The Teenage Tick 2, and it now includes John as a newcomer. Lisa calls John once again and tells him that she will save him, but finally Nathan realizes that he wants to be in the movies, that he's happier in the movies, so he stops Lisa.
You chose to stay, didn't you, bro?
That's right. You and Lisa have each other now, and you don't need a third wheel.
Now John is happy, but he still has a tick problem on his hand. I think he has it under control.
Fade to black.
And that's where the episode ends. Such a great episode, such an awesome love letter to old horror movies. Yes, they're corny and weird and not very scary at all, kind of like this episode, but without them, we possibly wouldn't have horror movies at all. That being said, this episode is super cheesy, over the top, and that has terrible dialogue.
John was right about one thing. The dialogue is terrible.
But of course, that's fully on purpose to match the vibes of the old horror movies. And I think they absolutely killed it. This episode is super fun to watch. One of the more fun episodes of The Haunting Hour to watch. I just love how The Haunting Hour can take some goofier ideas and pull them off so well like this. I do want to talk about John transforming into a tick real quick. The scenes of him transforming are genuinely gross, especially that horrible fingernail one. I hate that one. And when he does mutate into a tick, he starts seeing in 16-bit for some reason. I guess normal ticks don't see very well, and if you just put Gaussian blur over it, people wouldn't really know what's going on. So probably they did the 16-bit so you could still see. So I understand probably why they did that. Still, it's just kind of a weird thing to jump into 16-bit every once in a while. Let me know what you think about Creature Feature in the comments below. Also, give me more Haunting Hour episodes you want to see me talk about in the comments below. I have a Patreon. The $5 members get episodes a day early and some bonus content and maybe some pictures of my cats and your name right here on screen. Crazy. Like the video if you like the video. Thank you for watching the video all the way through. I appreciate you all, and peace.